A few weeks ago, I went to try out a camera that can make film photography cheap again. We should make that into a hat. In the last few years, film photography has become much more expensive, and I think for the casual shooter, this camera could really change everything. In this video, I'll take the Kodak H35 for a spin. I'll teach you how to get the best out of it, and I'm even going to be giving it away in a competition. So make sure you stick around until the end so you can find out how to enter and potentially win this camera. The Kodak H35 has a 22mm f9.5 lens and a 1/100th of a second shutter speed. The Kodak H35 is a half frame camera, so that means if you have a typical roll of 36, you'll actually get 72 shots from it. So shooting will cost you half as much. This camera is pretty basic, with similar attributes to a disposable camera, but it has the great upsides of being reusable and saving you so much money. I'm not gonna say you're gonna get amazing shots with this camera, but it's handy and a cheap alternative for travel or festivals or all those kinds of things. Loading this camera is really simple. Just grab your film, put it in the back of the camera and pull some film across and put it into the little gap in the spool. Then you can wind it on with the actual winder at the bottom and close your back up. Once you've loaded the film, you can literally just press the shutter button and then wind the film on with the little winder at the bottom of the camera. It's really that simple, and then when you're in low light or it's dark, you need to use your flash. You can activate your flash by rotating the little ring that is around the lens. One thing that I have noticed is it's quite easy to leave this flash on by accident, which would of course drain your battery or could potentially damage your camera. So just be aware when you use your flash, if you don't need it again, just try to remember to rotate your ring back to no flash. I like the design of this camera. It's pretty much the same as some of the old, I think they're called Instamatic cameras or something like that. Obviously, this is easy thing to do, is just replicate something that they made in the past and make it a bit newer. But I love the little wrist strap, which is like really smooth, and it's just a nice little wrist strap. And then it's got a cool little camera bag, and I think these are all just little handy things. It's quite a nice aspect to buying a new film camera, is you get these little add-ons that maybe you wouldn't be as likely to be able to pick up if you were just to buy a point and shoot online. Now, the H35 might seem like a really simple camera, and in many ways, yes, it is, but that is kind of the problem as well. If you think that this camera will be as good as your phone or something like that, in terms of being stable or not being blurred, then you're wrong. So I'm going to give you 3 game-changing tips on how to ensure that you get good shots every time you go out with your H35. Number 1 is just to not get too close. Now, I'm not sure what the focusing limit is for the H35, but on most of these kinds of cameras, it's somewhere between 0.7 and a meter. So 0.7 meters and a meter. So what I would say is try to keep people at about arm's length when you're taking a photo with the H35, and this should ensure that you that you get them in focus. Number 2 is to take your time. Seems really simple, but it's easy to forget, especially when we're used to good high quality cameras with a shutter speed that's super fast. You've got to take your time because this is 1/100th of a second shutter speed. So it's really easy to get a blurred or a bad shot because you've just pulled the camera up, pressed the button and thought, oh, I'll just do it really quickly. You need to put the camera up, take a photo, hold the camera just for a second, and then bring it down. Sounds really simple, but it's really important to ensure that you get a not blurred shot. I've just remembered something that's really simple and I completely forgot about it, but landscape is portrait and portrait is landscape. It does show you this in the viewfinder, so it's pretty obvious, but something that I stupidly forgot. Tip number 3 is use your flash. It's really important with a camera like this to be aware when you're in a lower light situation. And that basically means if it's sort of dusk or dawn, if it's dark, if you're inside anywhere, then you probably need to use your flash. So I'm gonna let you know how to win this camera in just a little while. But first, I think this camera is perfect for the casual film photographers. Someone that just wants to take a film camera on a trip or for day-to-day usage, it is perfect. And I think this camera makes film photography fun and affordable again. Now everything, including the developing chemicals, have gone up. So to cut that price in half by using a half frame camera does sort of bring back an element of that excitement and makes things a bit more fun again. Now don't get me wrong, I know that there are other half frame cameras out there, but I think that this is a completely no effort, accessible for beginners sort of camera. And because it's new, you don't have to worry about whether it definitely works or not. So I think those aspects for me really set it apart from some of the other half frame cameras out there. And I would say if you're sitting there thinking, should I get one of the other recent point and shoots that have come out, or should I get a disposable camera? I really think this is a no-brainer. All of those other options will cost you more over time, and with the disposable cameras you're also going to be causing waste because you're only using that camera once and then it gets chucked away. Okay then guys, so you could win this Kodak H35 only used once by me, and all you have to do is subscribe and comment below. In this comment I want you to guess which film stock I used to test the Kodak H35. Obviously it was color, so that narrows it down a little bit, but yeah, guess which film stock I used and you could win this exact Kodak H35. I'll pick a winner on September the 15th, 2022. So if you're watching this at any other point, then you're not going to win this camera. And if there are multiple people saying the right answer, then I will randomize and pick one of those people. If you don't win, please don't get butthurt. I will do other competitions in the future and it's just a bit of fun, so please don't hate me. So subscribe and comment which film stock you think I used, and you should watch this street photography video that I did recently to inspire yourself a little bit and get a little bit excited about shooting some film or not film or your phone or whatever, because it doesn't matter what format you use. I just want you to be happy.